Good afternoon, everyone. It's your man, Stand the Man Martin, Buffalo's native son. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm here to share with you all some information, that, in my opinion, and I've heard from many others that, we think that it's very important, especially in regards to, the holiday season and as we're going to be gathering, with our family members, friends, and loved ones. So, we want to make sure that, we're talking about health and wealth and, doing the things that's necessary to keep ourselves safe, loved ones safe, and our community safe as well. For those of you who might not be familiar, I'm the project director of REACH, Racial and Ethnic Approaches to Community Health, and we come together, to have conversations with the community folks about, things that are impacting us directly. So I'm looking forward to our conversation today. We're going to switch the tables a little bit. I'm going to have our, friend and extraordinary, Samantha, do a little interview with me on some of the things that we're working on here. And later on in the show, you all going to hear from a extraordinary community champion, who's doing some wonderful work in regards to tobacco control. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll up our sleeves and get started. All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Stan, for allowing me to participate in today's episode. I really appreciate that. So I feel very privileged that I get to ask you a few questions.
Absolutely. Yes. Go right ahead.
So, first question is, how has your work in public health benefited residents in the Maston District health outcomes?
Wow, right out the gate.
Yeah, right out the gate.
I think one of the things we have to look at the history or understand our community from a public health perspective. We have some of the highest rates of cancer. We have some of the highest rates of diabetes, and other chronic disease. And one of the things that what we're doing, we're trying to reduce those health disparities in those areas. In addition, we're trying to increase one's quality of life. When we look at, in terms of the living, not just the living environment, but the residents who are living in those areas, Maston and other zip codes on the east side of Buffalo, there's a shortened lifespan, as opposed to those who live outside, in particular whites, in other communities. So, we want to address those health disparities. We want to engage the community in terms of being a part of the solution, not seen as a part of the problem, so that our children, our youth, have a brighter future.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Thank you. So, also, well, tell us a little bit more about your work in reducing the tobacco advertising in our community. And also, can you talk about the proclamation that REACH has recently received?
Sure, absolutely. In our intro, I think it was discussed that, REACH has several different focus areas. Now, we want to increase access to food and nutrition, making sure people have access to healthier food, in their neighborhood stores. We want to also, when we talk about nutrition, we as a community don't oftentimes think of breastfeeding, as well. So, we want to work with doulas. We want to work with, those organizations that are reaching, pregnant and parenting moms so that, children have a healthy start, at an early age. And we know that breastfeeding, is critical in terms of the early stages of childhood development. So we're working in those spaces, as well as improving relationships between community and clinical healthcare providers. Black people, African Americans, people of color, historically, has been traumatized, by the medical field. So there's a lot of distrust and mistrust there. So one of the things that we do, we try and build those relationships, build bridges so that people can have the information, access to quality healthcare, that once again, help them to make an informed decision about their health and the health of their family members and loved ones. To speak directly to your question about tobacco, that is another focus area, that we are in terms of reach. And in particular, the tobacco industry has marketed and targeted its deadly product when used as intended, kills people, as I like to remind folks. And in particular, it's the number one preventable cause of death, here in our country and amongst African Americans. Annually it kills roughly around 45,000, African Americans each year. So what we've done, or trying to do, is to work with the community, work with our neighborhood businesses and our elected officials to reduce tobacco advertising that are near schools, that are near playgrounds, that are near family focused or centered, venues. And when you think about that, when you go to a store or when our kids are walking to and from school, that they are bombarded by an abundance of tobacco advertising,
Right.
not only at the outside, like on the exterior. We don't see as much outside tobacco advertising anymore, but
Right.
also there's still tobacco advertising inside the store. And sometimes it's usually placed near the candy, that's flavorful, what have you.
Right. Right.
So, right. So, so working, to prevent the initiation of tobacco use among our youth. Also working with retailers to be aware of their product placement, and then also working with elected officials to put pen to paper, to promote a healthy environment is critical in our work. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah,
Awesome. Okay.
yeah.
So, to follow up with that, so why is it important to remove mentholated tobacco products from store shelves in our community?
Well, great. Another great question. One of the things that our tag team, and they've been working with, several elected officials, and you know, um, they've been made aware of that. When you look at tobacco, and its impact on the African American, uh, menthol primarily is the tobacco of choice, and that's not by accident. You
Right.
know, um, that's intentional. So I mean, it's smoother, it goes down smoother, you inhale deeper, and it's more addictive. And which makes it harder to quit. So therefore, one of the things that we're looking at doing under the reach, and also with our partners in, the Advanced Tobacco-Free Communities work, is to build awareness and education about not only the harmful effects of tobacco, but in particular menthol tobacco, and work with our, community key stakeholders to imagine what a community would look like without menthol.
Nice, nice. Well, I believe that is all the questions that I have for you. I believe you have questions for our other guest, Annette, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
You're quite welcome. So, and you have mentioned, about the proclamation, and I know Annette has been working hard with the proclamation in terms of removing tobacco. She's been working very hard to educate and to inform, elected officials about, what our community in particular, would look like if menthol tobacco was removed from the shelves.
Right.
Annette, Annette, if you're still there, can you just introduce yourself and let the people know who you are and where you're from?
We may have lost her.
Looks like maybe her connection may have been down.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, we're gonna try and get Annette back on the show. I think one of the things that I wanted to hopefully when she comes back that she will highlight that Annette is a part of the Reach Tag Team Tobacco Action Group members, and the tag team is comprised of 6 to 7 residents, from the east side of Buffalo who are committed, to working on, creating a tobacco-free community, a tobacco-free lifestyle corridor. Their work extends from Bailey and Ferry to the foot of Ferry, which is now known as, Broderick Park, and
Right.
that extends 4 blocks north and 4 blocks south. You like say somebody say, Stan, well, what's 4 blocks north? What's 4 blocks south? Well, for those familiar with the city of Buffalo, that's East Delavan. That's considered East Delavan to East Utica. So from the east side to the west side of Buffalo.
Nice.
And yeah, and what they've been doing is doing a lot of work this past year and a half, should say almost 18 months, to really implement, I should say strengthen worksite policies with our small minority businesses, to create a safe work environment for their employees and also
Mm.
for their customers. So
Right.
to put a number to that, they've acquired over 43 policies, for small businesses along the Ferry Street corridor and work sites. That includes places like Doris Records. That includes, Dino's Cleaners. And that
Oh,
includes,
wow.
yeah, that also includes, I want to say, five. multi-unit housing complexes,
Okay.
apartment buildings.
Right.
Yeah. So, which is, you think about in the time that we're in, a lot of people are sheltering in place due to COVID, or spending time at home, and therefore, they might not be smoking outside; they might be smoking inside. So trying to reduce our um, exposure to secondhand smoke, whether it's at a work site or in a multi-unit housing complex, is very important. And that's some of the work of the tag team, that they've been doing over the past year.
Right.
Let me see if we got Annette back. Annette, are you there?
Yes. I'm a little
All right.
staticky, but I'm here.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, thank you for coming back. We understand how we're in this virtual space, and technology can be our friend, and it can also be our foe. But we're going to focus on it being our friend for right now. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell a little bit about who you are and your work on the Reach Tag Team.
Yes, hello. My name is Annette Colden. I am the co-lead with Stan Martin on the REACH program. It's something that's very near and dear to all of our hearts due to the fact that I have a lot of interaction with cancer patients because I am a cancer survivor. And one of the main things that we talk to them about, is the fact of the damage that tobacco can and will do to you.
Hmm. And wow, thank you, Annette, for sharing that, and your personal testimony as well. Can you talk a little bit about in terms of why, or what got you into this work? What got you into this field? I know you mentioned. Oh, go ahead, though.
Well, basically, what actually got me into it is my encounter with cancer, meaning I had a lot of family members that have had cancer and that have transitioning on. Um, just being around people that have been affected by the tobacco, and the fact that they're not educated on the damage that it's doing to their body, their family, their loved one's body. Because tobacco is not our friend. It's not our friend, and a lot of people do
Right.
not realize that just by being around the person that's smoking, they may say, "Well, I don't smoke, so I'm fine." Well, that's not true, because if you're sitting next to your loved ones that's sitting there smoking,
Right.
you might just put the cigarette to your mouth because you're inhaling that tobacco and it's going inside of your body and doing just as much damage. So,
Hmm.
with me and with the Reach team, we have a passion about giving that knowledge, because we feel as though if you have that knowledge, you can make a better decision. We don't tell people you got to stop smoking. We don't want to be about. We don't do any of that. We just educate you to allow you to make that decision for yourself and the loved ones around you.
Okay. 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 And I appreciate that. Who are some of the, like, when you're doing your education and your outreach, where are these events taking place? Are you working with any other organizations, in particular, or people?
Yes, yes. Basically, we meet everyone where they are. So we find places that the people come to, like churches, multi-unit housing. We go to work sites. We do different tabling, because we need to get that information out there. So therefore, um, wherever we're needed, that's where we will go. So if anyone have a organization or something coming up that there is a number of people, we would like to have at least 20 or more people that we can get this message over to, that we could talk to them. We also have something we call our listening sessions. We call them our cafes. They are so much fun, because with the people, uh, they don't know the background of the tobacco. They don't know the background of smoking. We educate them that way. We show them how the African Americans have been targeted from the beginning. And just to look on their faces when you see that light bulb go off, it makes a difference. So that's one of the joys that we enjoy, just educating and looking at your face and see when that light comes on.
I was thinking about that. You know, that you said that joy, that education. I was gonna ask you. I was wondering, are there any successes, you know, from those cafes, or just from the outreach, you know, that you've done and been a part of that you want to share with our listeners?
Well, actually, it is both. It is both. Our cafes are in demand. Unfortunately, with us being in the pandemic, we can't do as many as we want to. The last one that we did, we actually went into a multi-unit housing. Um, and it was truly a joy because they have truly enjoyed it. We had some people in there that was very active that had said, okay, seeing that this is what it does, I will consider not smoking. And if I do continue to smoke, I won't smoke inside of my apartment now that I know it can get in the vents and go to other apartments. So that was a joy for us. So yes, when we out there in the community, um, we have a sign-in sheet for those that are interested in stop smoking or have a loved one within their household that they would like for them to stop smoking. We do follow up, make those calls, let them know, that they do have support if they want to. What we find out, no one is going to stop or quit until they're ready. But by continuously educating them, by making those phone calls when they give us that information, we make those phone calls, we follow up just to see how you're doing. Are you still, interested in not smoking? Well, here's a number that you can call. Um, and show them that they do have that support. So I think by being in the community as well as doing the cafes, it's definitely a success.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for talking about, bringing up the information about the number that people can call, to the New York, State Smokers Quit line, and that is a valuable resource, here in our community, 1-866 NY Quit and 1-866-697-8487. It's the number that people can call. And then you brought up something that was very interesting. Um, in terms of the barriers why people don't call the quit line or why people are hesitant. You've been in this space for a number of years now. From you, just from your lens, from your perspective, what are some of the reasons that people might be hesitant or not ready to quit?
Well, as for right now, I'm going to speak for right now. Um, Unfortunately, with us being in a pandemic, people tend to be a lot more stressed. So a lot of people have told us this is their stress relief. You know that picking up a cigarette and smoking it, it tends to get rid of the stress. But then by us continue to talk with them and let them know, okay, it helps you with your stress. But if you stop and look at the big picture, look at the damage you're doing to your children, to your spouse, all those people around you. So, we basically give them something else to think about. Okay. And they're thinking, am I being selfish by picking up this cigarette to get rid of my stress? Or is it worth it for me to keep picking up this cigarette and doing damage to my family? And a lot of times when you have that knowledge, and it's rolling around in your head, and that's a decision you have to make. Again, we don't push you, we just give you that education. We give you those numbers of how many deaths is causing every year, and the number is increasing. So basically, like I said, we do get the pushbacks of, no, I've been smoking 20 years and it ain't killed me yet, or I've been smoking. Okay. Again, we don't push, we just educate.
Thank you so much, and I think that speaks volumes to what you mentioned earlier about meeting people where they're at, different stage of readiness and things of that nature. I really appreciate you sharing that that information with us. I wanted to ask you, is there anything that we haven't talked about already that you want to mention and share with folks?
Well, yes, I also want to mention when the weather allows us in the summertime, we will go out and we're focused a lot on our ferry quarter. We do a number of clean sweeps. So if there's an area where we see that there's a lot of smoking going on. We do take the time, we go out, we pick up the cigarette butts, we pick up any type of tobacco paraphernalia. And because we don't want the kids to basically see all these things, so they may think, oh, it's cool, everybody's smoking. So therefore, we look at let's get rid of all of that, you know. And some of the other things that we do, we have our policies, and what these policies are basically saying, we go to our multi-unit housing, we go to work sites, churches, different businesses, we even go to parks. And basically, what this policy is saying that they're going to put forth the effort, and they want to be a smoke-free environment. So that's letting other people know, and we give them the signage to put on their buildings. So when people that may in the past will go and stand in front of the stores or the church and they're smoking, they now see these signs and they now realize, wait a minute, this is a smoke-free area. So they will move on. So therefore, when you're coming into your businesses or your churches, or even when you're coming home to the multi-unit house, you're not seeing all those cigarette butts and things of that nature, you know, in front of the building. So that's one of the things that we enjoy. And I did talk about the our cafe listening sessions. And with our tabling, we're going out. So if you're having a function or whatever, you can reach out to us. We'll come and set up a table, put out information, give you different handouts, different freebies, things of that nature. And like I said, and we just try to assist you in when you're ready to stop smoking.
Okay. I mean, just in terms of the finance, I think that's very important.
Yes.
You know, for folks and businesses who are interested in that, they can contact me, Annette, you know, for that signage at smartin@caiglobal.org. Once again, that email address is smartin@caiglobal.org. I'm going to also put it in the chat box, you know, for folks, you know, who are interested, for work sites who are interested, you know, and we can work with you in terms of how to, you know, learn more information, how to strengthen your existing policies, and also how to work with the tag in terms of creating a tobacco-free environment. And, you know, before we close, I just want to say that I think this work with you in terms of how to, you know, learn more information, how to strengthen your existing policies, and also how to work with the tag in terms of creating a tobacco-free environment. And, you know, before we close, I just want to say that I think this healthier east side of Buffalo. And, you know, we can't do it without you, you know, without the community, without the faith community, without key stakeholders, our youth and elected officials. So we encourage you all to find out more about REACH. We encourage you all to get involved. And, you know, we definitely look forward in terms of helping those who want to quit, you know, to quit in terms of tobacco use. You know, you see the quit line information that is there. And, so once again, being a part of the solution and, you know, really looking at what's strong and not what's wrong within our community. That's what saves lives. So without further ado, once again, it's your host, Ben the Man Martin. My other colleagues and friends couldn't be with us, Ebony and Samantha, but certainly they are here in spirit. I want to thank Annette, you know, for sharing your jewels, your pearls of wisdom, your experience. I know you've been a champion, you know, in this in this community for a number of years. And it's a pleasure not only to work with you, but to know you and befriend you as well. So you all enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care.
Reach Buffalo, promoting a healthy community. Reach racial and ethnic approaches to community health locally in Buffalo to reduce racial and ethnic health disparities and rates of chronic disease. We want to make a change by reducing exposure to tobacco in housing and work areas, by increasing access to nutritious foods, by creating a breastfeeding community, by increasing referrals to primary care and community health providers, and by implementing community work groups. Reach Buffalo will concentrate on Ferry Street itself, as well as a community that resides within 4 blocks to the north and south of the corridor in 5 zip code areas: 14208, 14209, 14211, 14213, and 14215 in Buffalo, New York, with disparities in rates of chronic disease. Get involved. Ferry area residents will have an opportunity to have a platform to voice their opinions, organize, and make decisions in these efforts. For more information, you can contact Ebony M. White, Community Outreach Coordinator, at 716-268-2954.